We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Mark. Mark had the smaller theater room with the skylight. This is the one he was going to make into a bass trap, right?
That's right.
He never did get around to making that skylight into a bass trap, but he and his wife greatly enjoyed the small, dedicated room nonetheless. They now have a 5-month-old daughter. Yay!
Congratulations.
Congratulations, those girls so cute. I had little boys, and they were also very cute, but then they grow up into boys. Not so cute. And they are buying a house.
Congratulations.
So, congratulations. I'll tell you what, dude. I found having a child much less stressful than buying a house. If that will prepare you for what you're about to go into, you are welcome. But go in there and whatever they approve you for. This is my one advice to anybody who buys a house. Whatever they approve you for your budget, for your what loan that they will give you if you're not buying it outright. Do not spend more than 2/3 of what they say. And if you could do a half, that's what you should do, because they will approve you for all sorts of nonsense, but they don't take into account the fact that there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff that goes along with it.
There's always extra costs.
2/3 to a half is what my rule of thumb.
Extra costs come.
All right. Mark, and so they're buying a house. Mark convinced his wife to turn the master suite into a dedicated theater. It's going to have its own bathroom. That's going to be awesome. Convincing her was actually quite easy thanks to the small dedicated room. The skylight, nothing is more convincing than first-hand experience, he says. And Mark says that they enjoyed the dedicated room so much it was an easy decision to have another dedicated room in the new house. It also helps that the living room will no longer need a big TV and speakers in it. So for other AVRant listeners who are trying to convince a significant other, those are his tips.
Yep.
Do it small and then go big. That worked for me too. So I agree with you. Good job. The new room is 15 by 15. It realizes being a square is not ideal. There will be a windows on the back wall, ceiling beam running from left to right overhead, and the ceiling is sloped. So it would be 8 feet 4 inches at the front, so it'll be now 7 feet an inch at the back. All right. So the door will be at the front right, and the door to the ensuite bathroom will be at the front left, and there's a closet at the rear left. Should you keep the doors to the bathroom and the closet open so the room is no longer a perfect square?
Now, he's going to be having dual subs.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
In which case, the perfect square is not as big a deal.
Yeah.
And it's probably not actually a perfect square.
Right.
Very few rooms are.
Let me tell you what I did with my room that has an ensuite bathroom and everything. I took the doors off the closet. And I made that into my equipment space. Now, if you're not gonna do that, that's fine. But I don't think I would plan on always having that door open. I think it would be easier just to plan on having it closed all the time.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't have the bathroom door open all the time.
No,
that's going to be an echoey mess in there. Leave that alone. The closet, I mean, because he's coming back to what you said, like with Clint, right? When Clint was testing the Velodyne SMS-1, and he had this square-ish room, and then he opened up a closet and completely changed the measurements.
Yeah.
And that can be the case, but Clint was also doing that with one subwoofer, right?
Yes.
No, dual subs. So, when you have the dual subs, it's not as vital to get away from the square. And like I say, it's probably not actually a perfect square. It's probably 15 feet 1 inch and 14 feet 11 inches or something like that.
Yeah. And plus the ceiling is sloped, so that
and the ceiling is sloped,
messes everything up. So
yeah, so I'm not. I mean, if you have real problems, open up the closet and see what that does. But I wouldn't necessarily make that the.
I would not worry about this door thing to begin with. Yeah. I would assume, especially since it's the front left or the front right. I can't remember which way it is.
I mean, keep the bathroom door closed.
Keep the bathroom door closed for sure. But I would treat the room as if you're just going to treat the room normally. Put acoustical treatments in the places that you would do it, and then I would run the Odyssey with everything closed. You know, and then I would maybe listen to it and see if I liked it, and then maybe I'd run it a second time with the closet door open and see if that made a difference that I really liked.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
little bit of experimentation, trial and error here.
he does ask if the slope ceiling will help with acoustics. I don't know that's going to help. It's just going to be a thing.
It's going to change it.
Yeah. It's,
It's
going to
change
make
it
a
bit.
difference
Yeah.
in a way that we do not know the math to predict. And I don't know that anybody really knows the math. It's going to be weird. But it's not necessarily bad. He's looking at the big side, though, right? He's sitting at the small side.
He's looking at what will be the tallest
the
and
big
the
side.
narrowest will be behind him.
That does concern me a little bit because you're going to be much closer to those base reflections. There's going to be those walls behind you. So some base trapping along the floor, or if you can, might not be a terrible idea. But we'll see exactly what happens once you get this room. So it already owns a pair of SVS SB2000 subwoofers. On the front wall near the front left corner next to the bathroom door, there's a wall heater that can't be moved. And there's also a 16-inch high box in the front wall that leads to a crawl space. He was thinking of the best spots for his dual subs end up being up in the front right corner and the rear left corner. Do we agree? And if he's using the rear left corner, should you put the sub inside or outside the closet that's in the rear left corner? You should definitely put it outside the closet. But yeah, that's good. Front right corner, rear left corner.
It also, I mean, I
need to click on this picture.
This is a mock-up, not the real room.
Yeah.
But the box that he's put in this mock-up to go into the crawl space is shifted to the left. So it appears as though he could actually just use the middle of the front wall, the middle of the back wall.
Right.
Which in a square, if the room is square, would be preferable than the diagonally opposite corners. If you can get them across in the middle of the front wall, middle of the back wall, that is sort of the most preferable placement. So again, since this is a mock-up, not the real thing, maybe that isn't entirely possible. But if it is, that's what I would go for first. And then if not, this diagonal placement that you've suggested, front right corner, rear left corner, totally fine with that. And I agree with Tom, get the subwoofer out of the closet, just use the rear left corner.
Yeah, you don't want to put it into a little echo chamber if you can help it. Okay, I'm looking at the pictures now.
Yeah.
It's the first time I look at these pictures. All right,
so,
let me go.
Yeah, he just asks if he does put the sub in the closet, which we're saying don't do, but if he were to have done that, if he put a curtain over that, so he took the doors off but put a curtain over the opening for the closet instead, would that curtain impact the subwoofer's output at all? No.
Well, it's made of lead, maybe.
Right. If it's a super heavy thick curtain, maybe a little bit, but
if you stole it from one of those X-ray places, then maybe it can make a difference. But yeah. All right. He really wants a projector and a constant image height setup. That's been his dream for a while, and it seems like his new room will allow for it. However, he does enjoy some movies that switch between CinemaScope 2.35:1 and IMAX aspect ratio, so he's considering a 16:9 screen with masking.
Yeah, that's
realize
the conclusion I come to as well. So.
Yeah, but when you mask it, and then you have to unmask it during that scene and then remask it.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't do it on per scene. You'd live with the black bar when it comes on for, for the movie. Like if you're watching The Dark Knight and it's switching between.
So that one scene was a big pan and everything, and he's standing on the building. You're like, oh look, now I got black bars for the rest of the movie. I don't know. It just seems very silly. Anyways, to be clear, he really wants a 2.35:1 content to be to finally be bigger than regular 16:9 content. He's been living with black bars his whole life, and he feels like he finally wants the proper cinematic experience with something close to a 50-degree field of view for CinemaScope and IMAX, but more like 36-degree field of view for regular 16:9. His concerns are price, projector zoom and projector zoom lens shift. He's worked out that a 120-inch diagonal 16:9 screen would give him the field of view that he wants for CinemaScope and IMAX. If he sits 9.5 feet away, that's
all seems doable. Yep.
His idea is only mask off the top of the screen. He'd like the screen to be mounted so that the 2.35:1 and regular 16:9 content would line up with the bottom of the screen. Then for IMAX, he could reveal the top portion. That's not how that works.
Well, but I mean, that's his idea. Like, he's fine with when it's IMAX, it's actually taller than you would probably want it because it's IMAX, so that's fine. The majority of the time, he wants to just look at this constant image height. So it's at the correct height for HD TV. Then it goes wider when he's watching CinemaScope. Then he can add a whole bunch of to the top, to just the top, not the top and bottom, to just the top when it's IMAX. That's not the end of the world idea.
Yeah, so he's going to have lens shift that's going to shift it up for the cinema scope. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, generally speaking, when your projector, right, when you're blowing the image up on the wall there, it's going to have a constant width. So your 2.35 to 1 will have black bars on the top and bottom, and your 16 by 9 will fill up the entire screen.
Right.
Okay. What this guy is saying he wants the he wants the masking to only be on the top for the 2.35 to 1.
Yeah. So when it's 2.35 to 1, he would shift the whole image down. So that the bottom edge of the 2.35 to 1 would line up with the physical bottom edge of the screen.
That's right.
And then he would mask off the whole top above that.
So he's got to have some sort of projector that has, lens shift memory stuff, and memory settings, so he can, whenever he wants to shift it, it'll shift down, and then he just takes, puts the masking up there, or it drops in if he's got all the money in the world, apparently.
Right.
And it'll just drop in there, and he can it'll shift.
I think he was considering maybe some sort of do-it-yourself solution, like building this himself.
That's fine.
The frame.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that was sort of, because I mean the price of the projector he's looking at is not a super high-end model, so I don't think he's looking for a $15,000 screen. That would be way out of the question.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think that should be out of everybody's question, but that's just me and my inability to spend $15,000 on anything that's not a car or a car. All right. So this is the issue. This is why it kind of confused me at first, because usually what you have is you have the masking on the top and the bottom for a 2.35 to 1. Then you take it off, and then you get your full 16 by 9. But he wants to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Okay. If he uses the Epson 3000 or 3100 model projector, does it have enough lens shift and zoom range to make this happen? Now, I have no idea, as everybody probably already guessed.
It has quite a lot. So first of all, his biggest screen, so if we're just going by the width, right? So he's talking about having the width to create more or less a 50-degree field of view when he's watching CinemaScope and IMAX.
Yeah.
So he was like, that could be a 120-inch diagonal 16 by 9 screen. That'd be totally fine. 9.5 feet away from that gives you a 50-degree field of view. Then he wants, when he's watching just regular HD TV, he wants the 16 by 9 image to have the same height as CinemaScope, but then it's not as wide. And the end result is you end up with about a 90-inch diagonal image, 16 by 9, for regular HD TV content.
So he's going to have masking on the sides for that.
So you need masking on the sides and the top.
Yeah.
If for the smaller 90-inch image, right? So you're talking about 120 inches for IMAX, 90 inches for standard HD TV. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Now, the zoom range on the Epson 3000 or 3100 is totally fine. What you would need to do is have the lens of the projector as close as 11 feet 6 inches. So that's the closest it could be to be able to throw both of these screen sizes.
Yeah.
Or as far as 14 feet from lens to screen, which might just barely fit in a 15-foot long room.
I was going to say, that if you calculate the connectors at the back and everything, you're probably 12 inches off the wall from lens to screen anyway.
But it seems like you should be able, if you put it 12, 13 feet away from lens to screen, it'll totally work for both of these sizes. So the zoom range seems to be fine. Now, it has quite a lot of lens shift. You can actually have it so what we would focus on is the smaller image, the 90-inch image, because that's the smallest image you're going to throw. Then if you blow it up, it's, zoom it in, the lens shift doesn't need to be as much. So that's the easy side. So we're concerned with the small image, the 90-inch image.
Is he going to have to do this manually?
It is. It's manual lens shift, manual focus, manual zoom.
That's going to get old really super fast.
It could.
I'll tell you what.
You might want to consider going for an older projector that has motorized, such as Panasonic's AE8000. That's a pretty old projector at this point.
Yeah. But
because it's old, it's less expensive, and it has motorized zoom and lens shift and all that, and it has ranges that actually even exceed what the 3000 does. But
highly push you in that direction.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, sir. First of all, this whole thing that you and Rob are talking about right here, I can't be bothered for any of this. I'm setting up a projector once, and I am done. 16 by 9, setting it up, I am done. I'm not going through any of this
I
masking
really
stuff.
get the wanting standard HDTV to be not as wide as CinemaScope.
I
I mean, that's one of the
understand.
joys of a projector.
I understand. But at the same time, this is like a humongous pain. I would highly recommend that you not do. You're talking about getting a ladder, probably, or step stool, or keeping it
Possibly.
in your room. You're talking
Well,
about
maybe he'll do his own DIY roller system.
could
build
be,
his own
but
roller
still,
that just brings it down.
he's still gonna have to do the lens shift.
Yes.
He's still gonna have to do lens shift, and you know what
Yeah.
happens when you do lens shift? A whole bunch of stuff happens, and it's not a quick and easy thing. Like when
I would really recommend looking at that PT-AE8000 from Panasonic because
Yes.
you can set lens memories. So
That
it will
is
remember
what
the
you
lens
need.
shift and focus and zoom. You press one button and it auto sets it to what you need for one setting versus the other.
that is what you should do.
Super worth it in this situation.
That is what you, because I'm telling you, the lens shift. I mean, lens shift is not hard to figure out, but what does end up happening is every time you touch that projector,
Yep.
it gets a little turned or whatever, and you're going to
Loses
be
light.
up there. You're going to have to factor in I would say a minimum 5 to 15 minutes every time you want to switch it from one to the other. 5 to 15 minutes. Let me ask you. You just went through this whole process to get your wife to let you do the master bedroom or whatever into a home theater. Do you want to ruin all that just to have this special screen size? Because that's what's going to happen if she has to wait 10 to 15 minutes every time you have to lens shift. And then you're going to go, oh, it's overshooting a little bit. I have to go fix it real quick. And she's
No,
going to be like,
if you get the motorized
Yeah.
lens memory, so worth it. One button push, it sets itself.
I would highly recommend you do that.
Yeah. But just to, if you want to figure this out, concern yourself with the smaller image. So in your case, it's going to be about a 90-inch diagonal image.
Yeah.
And in the case of these, you can put the center line of the lens. So look at where the center horizontal line of the lens would be. It can be a little over 4 inches above the top edge of your smallest image. All right. So figure out where you want the top edge of your smallest image to be, your 90-inch image. You could have the lens of the projector as much as a hair over 4 inches above that. So you might need to drop it down from the ceiling a little bit,
Right.
is what I'm saying. But as long as you do that, then when you zoom in to blow it up to the 120-inch image, that's no problem. That can go higher than where it is. You'd need to adjust the lens shift, but there's no problem there. So concern yourself with the small image. As long as you get that all lined up, then you're good to go. So entirely possible with the projector zero, considering also entirely possible with the AE8000 from Panasonic that
Get
I'm
that
recommending to you.
Do not get the two you're thinking about. Yeah. Get that one. That lens shift thing is going to be an unholy nightmare. It's going to become the albatross around your neck. And it's going to get to the point where your wife's going to go, do you have to change this projector to watch this
Right.
movie? Because I'm not going to watch the movie. You have to change the projector.
And I will say for this whole screen thing, you could go 2 screens.
It might be cheaper.
92-inch screen on the wall,
Yeah.
roll down electric 120-inch screen that comes down in front of it.
That was going to be my other suggestion, is to consider not doing any masking whatsoever and
Yeah.
then just doing what Rob just said. You'd still need, because you're going with different widths, right?
Well, like I say, I mean, a fixed frame 92-inch, because that's the
Yeah.
standard size,
Yeah.
on your wall. So
Right.
that's, boom, that's what it is. And
Right.
then you have the 120-inch that rolls down in front. Now, if you do really want to mask off the top of the electric roll down, I mean, Seymour AV lets you do that, but it ain't cheap. You're looking at
Right,
$1,900.
I don't know why you would have to mask it off, though. I mean, it's already got the black.
Well, he doesn't
stuff
want to
on
live
there.
with any black bars anymore. That's his whole.
But it would not have
thing.
black bars. It'd be a 2.35 to 1 screen. It doesn't have black bars.
Oh, no, but then how would he watch IMAX? You see. You see the problem. You have he has 3
The problem is
different aspect ratios.
this is just not worth it. That's the problem. The problem is none of you people seem to understand, and I feel like I'm beating my head up against a wall over here, going, "How do you people think that this is a good idea?" It's not.
My quote unquote reasonable solution is 2 screens, one that's a smaller 16:9, then one that rolls down that's a big 16:9, and I live with the black bars when I'm watching CinemaScope. That's my personal solution. I don't do any masking. I live with the black bars for CinemaScope.
I don't understand how these black bars are so offensive to people. I feel like it's a racist thing, and I don't appreciate it on this podcast. This podcast is inclusive. That's the name of the podcast, by the way.
Because to me, it's more important to have the whole CinemaScope is wider than HDTV. That I really want. So
why?
because that's the way it's supposed to be. How it's supposed to be.
I just feel like I am like a beacon of rationality in a sea of insanity sometimes on this podcast. I have no idea how that happened. I'm supposed to be the crazy one here. You guys can't take my crazy. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.